Rule number 4, price breaks or plots below current H1 middle pivot, go short. You see the arrow pointing here, where price breaks below or plots below the H1 middle pivot, okay? And then you go short from there. Now, again, bear in mind that the H1 middle pivot is the average of the previous period's high, low, and close prices. So if the H1 middle pivot is the average price, then prices above the average price are considered above average prices or higher prices, and prices below the average price are considered below average prices or lower prices, okay? So bear that in mind. Rule 4 explained. All of these bearish interpretations cause the perception of value to be a price at lower prices, which is why value is being found at lower prices, below H1 middle pivot, right here. So, in essence, the market is transacting at below average prices, okay? And the market can only transact when the market has found value, when buyers and sellers agree on a price to transact, and that price is called value. Okay? So value is being found at lower prices. That shows that buyers and sellers have a shared perception of value, which is a price at lower prices, and we trade in that direction, which is down. Okay? So again, value being found is the final phase of the core progression of auction theory, which is interpretation, forms market sentiment, which forms the perception of value. And that perception of value leads to value being found. Okay? And in this case, value is found at lower prices because the perception of value is a price at lower prices, and we trade in that direction of value. We trade in the direction of the perception of value, which is, in this case, down. Okay? Rule number 5. Set stop loss good distance above H4R2. Main target is the next lower weekly pivot. Drag stop loss down as price moves down to secure profits, or you can wait for price to hit main target before dragging stop loss down. You can also close the trade when price hits the main target. Okay? So the stop loss, you see the arrow pointing here, is going to be set above the H4R2. This is the H4R1 here. Okay? And the H4R2 is much further up, but it's not shown in this screenshot. Okay? But if you zoom out, you'll see that the H4R2 is much further up. So you would place the stop loss a good distance above the H4R2. And the main target is the next lower weekly pivot. Okay? So this is the weekly R pivot level that got hit. The next target is the next lower weekly pivot, which is, in this case, the weekly MR1, which is the midpoint pivot between the weekly R1 and the weekly middle pivot. Okay? And you can see price hits its target here, and then you see how it bounces. If you actually look at this trade, it actually came back and fell even further down. Okay? So if you were actually to hold this, price fell even further down. So that's the one area that I would say there is discretion in the system. It's the trade management, okay? So managing the trades. Do you hold the trades and wait for a bigger drop further down so that you can maximize profits, or do you get out at these targets? That is a discretionary decision that you'll make, but that would be you managing your profits, okay? Do you want to wait for larger profits, or do you want to get out of the trade with your profits secured? Or maybe you can secure half of the trade and let the rest of the trade run as it's protected. That is left to the discretion of the trader, and it's up to you on how you want to manage your profits and your trades. But as far as the entry, as far as the execution of the trade, it is strictly mechanical and objective. Follow the rules. You let the scanner start scanning and showing you potential 3 keys trade setups. And then once you find that potential setup, you execute the remaining rules. Okay? And then as price drops down, you can drag the stop loss as it goes down. Okay? Or you can close the trade when it hits the main target.